Match point for Alex Michelsen, 2 hours and 43 minutes. This match hasn't even gone 3 hours. And yeah, that's not going to be returned. Heavy first serve to the backhand. And Tsitsipas is out in the first round. Alex Michelsen moves on. Well, we've already talked a lot about it, but where does this leave Steph now?
Yeah, I mean, he was in a rough spot already. I think this is like the only real new thing that we got today was the fact that this is the first time this happens at the Australian Open to him. Like, obviously, he lost in the opening round in 2018, but I'm just talking the last few years. This was kind of like his most consistent slam, or at least alongside Roland Garros. And he was definitely performing at it, so much better than in most of the other hardcore events. And the fact that this isn't the case anymore here, that's kind of the depressing part. But otherwise, obviously, Mikkelsen has some really good skills to attack, like has great tools to attack the backhand corner. As you said, just switch to the backhand line. This is so easy for him. He can approach to the net and is great there. So in a way, this is a tough opponent, but it feels like half the tour is a tough opponent for Steph right now. And it's not even like we were also mentioning that during the stream, but like the strengths for Tsitsipas, they don't feel that impactful. I just never really felt like his forehand is going to win him the match or something like this. It's just not at that sort of level at the moment. It can't win the match on its own, and he kind of needs that on fast hard or relatively fast hard courts right now. He needs a weapon that will win the matches, like literally, his own for him, and he's not getting that from his serve and forehand. So all in all, definitely quite depressing. Like, no one was expecting much from him this event. I know I literally just like started saying that, well, this match is irrelevant because if Tsitsipas loses in the first round or in the second round, like, what does it really change? But this was like even more striking than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think we're going to sound very similar because, yeah, it pretty much, it just feels like the pool of players who can, pick on his weaknesses and who feel like they go into the match already feeling very confident about their game plan and just executing it. Like, I didn't feel like Mickelson was having to red line or execute. Okay, that one game at 4-all was insane. The 3 winners that he had on the return, and obviously he deserves a ton of credit. But it's like he didn't have to do anything that he's not. He didn't have to change his game plan or play a different way for Steph than he might have to do against another top player. So I feel like his Mickelson continues this great progress. He's around 40 in the world. He's probably going to keep improving and building on this. And then Tsitsipas, yeah, it just puts a lot of pressure on that clay swing now. He needs to, like, all of a sudden win Monte Carlo again, or get to the final of Barcelona, or do something in Madrid. Like, it's like that stretch is kind of going to make or break his year. And yeah, unless there's other hardcore events where he can just get the serve and forehand going at that rate. I mean, yeah, Jose is tweeting about it right here. Like, it's just the usual fire as well as a good point. I think we talked about it earlier that, like, he doesn't seem as motivated anymore as he used to be,
Yeah.
and like that's a big thing. Like, you can see it in the body language, you can see it in between points, you can see how lost he looks. Right, you can just see like he has no answers for what the opponent is throwing at him, and that's quite a perilous position to be in for a guy who was heralded to be, a future world number one, multi Grand Slam winner, like win Roland Garros. It's yeah, it's just very very hard to see a path for him right now to get out of this rut. I mean, obviously he's still capable on a given day against a given opponent to find some of his best tennis, but yeah, it's like you are who you are at some point, and he's going to be what, 27 this year. So he's been around a while, and every passing year it just feels like his chances get lower and lower to win a slam or win a big title, even win a Masters 1000 outside of Monte Carlo, for instance. It's rough. It's rough for sure. I also feel pretty depressed.
Yeah, and like this puts a lot of pressure on Steph for that clay season as well, just from the perspective that like, okay, if he's gonna continue like this, about a 50% win rate on hard courts, then he really needs that like Monte Carlo title every single year in order to stay any high in the rankings and everything. But yeah, right now the future seems bleak. I don't think the like the him looking a little bit less motivated is like the main factor of this. But obviously, after many losses like this and like zero ideas how to get out of this, because this is literally so similar to like half his losses in the last 6 months, then if you're playing like this constantly and if you have zero ideas how to actually get out of that pickle, then I can't blame him for getting a little bit down on himself, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean we're seeing the match stats here actually, and both guys had more winners than unforced errors. I mean, I don't even think Tsitsipas played poorly, but it's just like, yeah, it's just like the path to beating him is just so much clearer for everybody that like it almost doesn't matter if the stats are even good. Um, yeah, and then that X factor as well is missing on the big points. Like whenever he needs that serve and forehand to work, he ends up getting, a shank or a double fault, or the ends to the games are not what they used to be. Like that's certainly the case. Although, well, what do you think about Mickelsen's chances next round?
Well,
Possibly
I
a
mean,
matchup against
he's going to be the
Landaluce.
favorite, obviously, against Landaluce or McCabe. I actually liked Martin's chances better against Steph than I do against Alex, because again, there's no like super clear target to attack, right? And we know that Landaluce is just beginning his Grand Slam career and his career as a whole in a way. So I think this might actually kind of close the door for him rather than open the door, even though generally speaking that shouldn't be the case, given that the high seed is out. Who is he gonna play after that? That's the one I don't remember right now. Ah, yeah, Hachanov, Manarino, Diallo, I mean, technically, a chance for a big run is here. Like Hachanov, it's not something that he cannot touch. I think Karen. Well, we'll see how he's gonna play in the first 2 rounds. This is still the minor quarter, so I guess the fourth round is like the absolute max I can see Mikkelsen going to. But right now, obviously, the third round is something very palpable, and he will be disappointed if he won't make it there.
Yeah, for sure. And Mickelson made the third round here last year as well, right?
Yep.
Losing to Zverev, and yeah, I mean, there's definitely chances for him in this quarter. If he faces Hachanov or Diminor, that would be already quite a good test. See kind of where he's at against these perennial top 10, top 20 players.